A candle is made to burn fully into flame. In that moment, it casts no shadow. As the story goes, Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi, a famous scholar, was once giving a lecture when a scruffy, older man approached him. The man asked what Rumi's books meant. Rumi had no idea, but this simple question would forever change his life. Annoyed by the interruption, Rumi responded, "These are things beyond your understanding." Then, suddenly, the books burst into flames. The man, unfazed, looked at the shocked Rumi and said, "You couldn't possibly understand." This mysterious figure was Shams of Tabriz, a Sufi mystic whose influence would completely transform Rumi's worldview. Thanks to Shams' teachings, Rumi would go on to become one of the world's most renowned poets and philosophers, his influence spreading across Turkey and the Persian-speaking world. Rumi was born in 1207 near the city of Balkh, in what is now Afghanistan. As a child, his family moved to Anatolia in search of better opportunities, following his father, a preacher and mystic. By the time Rumi met Shams, he had become a respected scholar of Islamic law in Konya. Though he was familiar with Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam that focuses on experiencing God's love, Rumi hadn't shown much interest in it. That all changed in his late 30s, when Shams entered his life. Rumi began to shift his focus away from law and theology, viewing them as mere tools, like candles lighting the path toward his ultimate goal, reuniting his soul with God through divine love. He expressed this in Persian, writing, "Love is not found in learning, knowledge, or books. Where men debate, that is not the lover's path." While Sufism had long been part of Islamic practice, its more expressive traditions, like ecstatic dance and poetry, were often criticized by conservative religious leaders. As Rumi grew closer to Shams and embraced Sufism, many of his followers became unhappy. Then, suddenly, Shams disappeared, and rumors spread that he had been murdered. Grieving, Rumi poured his heartbreak into poetry, writing, "He bathed us in his light like a candle, then vanished into thin air, leaving us." Rather than abandon Sufism, Rumi became even more devoted, joining in ritual dancing and spreading the message of love through his lectures and writings. Though Shams never returned, Rumi believed he continued to reflect Shams' light, just as the moon reflects the light of the sun. In these mystical states, Rumi composed the Divan-i-Shams, a collection of deeply emotional poems. They speak of love and longing, not only for Shams but also for God. Over time, Rumi's poetry evolved. He no longer saw himself as just reflecting Shams' light, but as a source of light on his own. In his 50s, Rumi wrote the Masnavi, a spiritual guide for others to find divine love. These poems were rich with stories, ideas, and wisdom drawn from Islamic texts, Arabic and Persian literature, and earlier Sufi works. In one story, he retells the famous love tale of Layla and Majnun. The king, having heard Majnun's endless praises of Layla's beauty, demanded to see her. But when Layla arrived, the king was unimpressed, finding her beauty lacking. To this, Layla replied, "I am Layla, but you are not Majnun." For Rumi, true love meant seeing the beauty in all of God's creations, just as Majnun saw Layla. He believed that romantic love was a reflection of the greater divine love. After Rumi's death, the Mevlevi Sufi order was founded around his teachings and still exists in Turkey today. His poetry spread throughout the Islamic world, inspiring generations and influencing Persian literature before reaching the West in the 19th century. For many, Rumi's words still resonate today, transcending his time and culture. If you have lost heart in the path of love, come to me without delay. I am a fortress invincible.